So I don't remember where that sheet went of paper, but I don't know if I can remember it, which I can, but it'll take me a little bit of time. And
Mm.
right now, I'm not in it, but you might be in it. Solar panels, yeah?
Yeah.
You can make them go absolutely freaking crazy, yes?
Mhm.
With energy.
Yeah.
But you got to think in terms of amps, volts, and watts.
Mhm.
So you set up some solar panels in the configuration in full sun or in part sun, but you need something to be able to control or regulate that. So when it's in full sun, it will always give you around, I don't know, 230, 240, yes?
Yeah.
And when it's in lack of sun, it will still give you the same amount,
Yeah.
230, 240,
Yeah.
sometimes 250. All depends. The others then need to be connected to the series,
Mhm.
then need to be watts. So you wire these so that they go up into the wattage, the wattage, the wattage. They're the ones on the roof. Absolute terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It's not done in the right way. If you follow this process, you can get copious amounts of energy from them as long as the sun is up.
Yeah.
You need several different types of solar panels,
Mhm.
photovoltaic, and you need mono, whatever it's called. No idea. Doesn't really matter,
Mhm.
really, does it? So some are set out in the watts, the others are set out in the volts, and now you need the ones that are set out in the amps. Now that is the tricky part. It's not tricky in a way, but you have to force them. You have to play them off against each other. My word, watch it grow. And you get a stabilized amount of energy come from them
Mhm.
for as long as the sun is on them.
Okay.
So volts,
Mhm.
one,
Yeah.
amps, another, and watts. If you follow this principle, I'm not surprised why you want not actually lit up all the houses by now. And then what's more, if these all connect from the neighbor to 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 the neighbor, you've got a chance that there's going to be a big amount of cloud, right?
Yeah.
This is the fun part. Now I'm not sure because I hear the people say that to send power
Mhm.
costs a lot of power, right? You lose
Yeah.
power in the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I was thinking about that. It was an extraordinary thing that I'd found. That I had like 50 meters. Here's another one for you.
Yeah.
I had 50 meters worth of cable,
Mm.
and I attached it to a battery,
Yeah.
and then I ran it over here with an inverter.
Mhm.
And do you know what? The thing didn't even bloody do anything.
I see.
So, you know, it's to send power is to,
Mm.
yeah. And that is not about reducing energy. That's not it. Or the heat, or the resistance. No, no. It needs resistance
Mhm.
in order for it to work.
Yeah.
So I found that using MPPT, doesn't matter which one it is, whether it's a booster or just the box itself. Sometimes this degrades, sometimes this amplifies it.
Mhm.
All depends on how you rig it on the line.
Yeah.
But if you were to have 50 meters a battery, 50 meters another battery, 50 meters another battery,
Yeah.
and you Christmas tree it, but rather than having light bulbs on the
Mhm.
end of you,
Yeah.
you put batteries.
Mhm.
For some reason, this sends the power from the solar panels at the battery that sends it into the battery, and then from that battery, it sends it to this battery. For some reason, power is attracted to power in this way.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't 50 meters, I actually cut the wire in half, so 25, and then
Yeah.
I didn't measure if there was 50 meters on there or not, to be honest. So do with that what you will.
Yeah.
But then I had another one that I tested with just a standard battery.
Mhm.
No, it might have been double that.
Yeah.
Remember, because I was playing around with this, and again, holding on to this sort of stuff. I don't do it to hold on to it. I do it just to see what's what. I just play around with things.
Yeah.
So this one I played around with in Banham, if you remember. I couldn't get it to go from, let's say, the battery in the garage. I
Mhm.
couldn't get it to go from there anywhere else because it
Mhm.
was just too far away. Yes.
Yeah.
So I did it this way.
Mhm.
Went from a battery to a battery. Now, the first initial battery that you've got, expect it to knacker. Oh, and I was using car batteries as well, so
Yes, you were.
I
Yeah.
mean, I had so many of them. I didn't know what to do with them. So I did this. And the first battery, you're gonna knacker.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you use a booster, the
Yeah.
MPPT booster.
Mm-hmm.
Small little box. Took some pictures of it
Yeah.
not so long back. If you can recreate that, you're laughing all the way to Leeds. That thing is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So to send the power from that
Yeah.
50 meters,
Yeah.
I don't know. There was loads of it, weren't there? There was tons of
Yeah.
it. Do you remember that? the
It
amount
was
of
very
cable there
long. It
There was
was
loads
very
of it.
long. Yeah.
I think it was 50 meters or 25
Mm-hmm.
or something, and then it went a further 50 meters because I just wasn't. It was cold
Yeah.
outside, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
stay out there for
Yeah.
too long, so I just put it on there
Mm.
from one to the other to the other. Now that worked pretty well. Now, sure, well, I don't know if I was using an inverter on this one or whether I just skipped the inverter altogether because I found that it just didn't really. Yeah, that's it. I had that little shitty inverter,
Yeah.
the red little one, and a blue one,
Mm-hmm.
and that thing wasn't really doing that much. I was on a budget as well, so it's not like I was spending tons of money on it. That cost like £50 from China, I think. And it took forever to turn up.
Yeah.
And then it nearly didn't turn up because I had to go pick it up from the post office for some reason. And then it wasn't there, and then it was there, and then it sort of wasn't, and then it was. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But then when that one turned up, that one was supposed to be 2 kilowatts pure shine.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Nope, that was less than 250 watts worth of bullshit. Because if you wanted to power USBs off it, it was wonderful. But other than that, it was pretty shit. It wasn't how it was,
Meant to be.
not how it was described,
Mm-hmm.
let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that got us through a Christmas.
Yeah, it did.
Because the grid was just far too expensive. So there you are. There you are. Now I have got some drawings of all of this sort of stuff somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm unsure to say how I managed to get the amps out of it. The amps are confusing. You have to put them on in a way that all it will do is up the amps. It won't even up the wattage, and it won't even up the what do you call it? Volts. It won't do anything to those.
Mm-hmm.
All it does is up the amps.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a peculiar thing, right? Because how you wire it is just wire it.
Yeah.
So you've got the one that comes out for the 240,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got the ones that come out for the watts. Just put the bloody things on it. Just put it on it and watch. You'll see. And then they said, right, I was reading somewhere, like before, that they said that, you only have one or the other. You can only up one or the other. Nah, that's bullshit. Because I managed to up both of them using this, and you force them. It forces it. It doesn't know what it's doing. It's stupid in that way. It's just very basic. Energy is so basic principle. It really is. But then when you get it to move through things, then you get the intelligence out of it.
Yeah.
Depends on how you make it run. But keeping it as the purest form, it's very basic, right? I don't want to say stupid because that's stupid, but still, it is. Just put it on there, and what you'll find is you are able to increase the watts. And now this is the bit that I don't understand, right? So if I got the 240, and it was something like, I don't know, I can't remember the wattage now. So it was 240 at something wattage, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to include the wattage of that panel.
Yeah.
Right, because it says 240 at this watts, yes? Because the way you've made them go together is the Christmas tree effect again. Like just like you wire a battery together to either A, make it. I mean, you can also do this with batteries. Can you believe? Oh, isn't that interesting? And I just think solar panels are basically batteries without, and you don't need an inverter.
Mm-hmm.
You can just plug it straight in to the panel.
Uh-huh.
Well, I didn't plug it straight into the panel. I took an extension brick, like this one, and it all ran into one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it ran into one of these.
Yeah.
And then I plugged everything else onto that.
Mm-hmm.
There you are. I've been trying to get solar panels ever since then. But, you know, I don't need solar panels to do this because I've already done it in another way, achieved it in another way where I just pretended that these were all solar panels. And
Yeah.
speakers
Mm-hmm.
and stereos and amplifiers are
Yeah.
no different to me than batteries or solar panels or your grid.
Yeah.
It's no different. You see, because there's another one that I got, plug sockets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're designed so that the appliance, when you plug it in, is sharing the same thing, right? And it
Yeah.
ups the watts.
Yeah.
But if you undo the plug and join, is it brown wire to blue wire, and then so on and so on and so on and so on, and then plug it in, and providing all of the objects are turned on,
Mm-hmm.
and you start with the highest and work your way down to the lowest, or is it the other way around? I get confused now. Either or.
Yeah.
You then up the voltage,
Yeah.
but you don't up the wattage.
Uh-huh.
Man, that's interesting. That's interesting. You would be surprised at how that works. So, if you really wanted to rig the grid, it's that way. If it is rigged, I don't know. Don't think that thing's reading kilowatt hours and not volt hours. It doesn't care about volts, and it's up to 400, I believe, that you can get through there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do it that way as well. Well, I most certainly could. I haven't. Well, one time. Just once, okay? Just once, and it worked pretty nicely. And I tried all sorts of products on it.
Mm-hmm.
I only blew up one thing. And that's because I was really pushing my luck with that one. I was like trying a hairdryer against something that was... Oh, man, I got the biggest breath of ozone I think I've ever had. That was amazing. I can smell it now. I look like the dude off of the Wheaties box.
Mm-hmm.
I actually didn't. But yeah, that one was quite funny. So I did it a different way. There's a way to go. I'm not going to share that just in case anyone is like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then maybe they can't kick my fucking door and it'll be like, you were stealing energy. I didn't. It was fucking years ago. Yeah. I was curious of like, oh, how did I get that on there? Anyway, so I was just really curious, like, what would happen?
Yeah.
And there you are. And I've walked with that little secret for a very long time. But yeah, no, that was interesting. Just by undoing all the plugs and then, right, if this one goes like this, and this, what happens? I didn't test it against a meter because it didn't have a meter. It was, I don't know, one of those ones that's, I don't know. It wasn't my meter, so no one said that I couldn't, so... You know, I was just going to do an experiment. So there was no increase that I noticed and no decrease. So do with that what you will. Interesting. But yeah, no speakers. They're the bloody same things. Yeah. So, you know, you got a stereo system, right? And it's only got 4 channels on it, which is just 2 and 2, yeah? Mm-hmm. But I got like, you know, rather than just having my standard 2 speakers, I got an extra 2 speakers to try and wire in there. But, you know, the problem was when I was wiring them in, I was losing the bass quite a bit. Yeah. And that was like proper terrible. Mm-hmm. So rather than wiring this way and this way, you know, which makes your channel, yeah. I took the red from this one and the black from this one, which I think is basically the same anyway, but with a little bit of a difference. I don't know if I want to include that. You got to get a soldering iron and all of that, so it gets a little bit more complex. Maybe we'll do this one on another video and I'll show you a little trick with that. To be able to get more in your port, if you like. So I don't know if amplifiers actually do this anyway. And they remind me, amplifiers, of inverters in reverse. Yeah. You're taking 240 and then you're putting it into wattage. Well, if you remove all of those different things in there, you can run backwards through it. Yeah. Like wire up solar panels to your amplifier and go backwards. Don't do it because it's dumbass. You have to do some stuff inside it before you can just go ahead and do that. That's a very interesting thing, that is. So it's the same to me. That is, yeah, you might as well look at them as either each a speaker or each a battery or each a plug socket or each a solar panel. That's all they are. It's exactly the same. This technology has been around in reverse for a very long time, which is these. But yeah, I kind of wanted to skip the fact because I couldn't afford an inverter. And then I was like, I had the inverter, and then I couldn't afford a battery.
Yeah. Mm.
So, and it was like weeks away from me getting a battery anyway, like saving up like £5 here, there, and everywhere to try and save for a battery. Okay, I could have got a second hand one. I could have gone ask someone if they could, could you get me this, please? Pretty please. And I'll pay you back then. I was too impatient for that. And then you have to wait for delivery. So I was just like, I got a lot of old stuff anyway. So I'm going to try it. And I did. And yeah, even if there is a law about not being allowed to do that, I will listen to your law as long as it's in a house, But if it's my own solar equipment, nah, I want to wire that and I'm going to make it do whatever I want to. Whenever I want to do that, regardless of whether you need to be a qualified electrician, because some electricians get me wondering how they even got qualified. So that's interesting. And then, aren't you an already qualified electrician before you get your certificate? You don't understand that, do you? Because this is the one that fascinates me with this. Because it, like, just because you're going to go and do something like this, and
Yeah.
this. Oh, speaking of which. And you're going to do this, that, and the other and stuff, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But, excuse me. Terrible. That's very nice, actually.
Mm.
And so a doctor, right? A dentist,
Yeah.
electrician,
Yeah.
a carer,
Mm-hmm.
all professions, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Before you get your certificate or your doctor, what do you have to do? You say, write a theory, do this, do that, rah, 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 rah. Well, it's not any of those things. No. If you're a carer, you have to act like a carer.
Yeah.
And then you're qualified.
Yeah.
And if you're an electrician, right,
Mm-hmm.
you have to act like an electrician.
Yeah.
And if you're a doctor, you have to act like a doctor. And then they're like, you know what? Because you acted like a doctor, here you go. Because you acted like a carer, here you go.
Yeah.
Because you acted like a dentist, donkey, dentist, right? Here you go. Here's your qualification.
Yeah.
Sorry, I like the one with the donkey.
Mm.
Yeah, kick your teeth out, right? So yeah, it's the way you behave is what makes you what you are, right? So you can be anything you want to be, as long as you know how to behave like it.
Mm-hmm.
And considering, man, how many times were you drummed in about behavior? And I'm like, well, do I want to behave like this today? Yes, I do. Okay. I'm going to be a self-diagnosing doctor for myself.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to diagnose this, and this? Well, how do I want to be today? Well, I got some filler and I got a few holes in my teeth. So I'm going to behave like a dentist today. Okay, today I'm going to behave like a poet. Tomorrow I might want to behave like this, or I could behave like that. And then what do you got to do? Well, blank your mind.
Yeah.
And then begin to fill it up with stuff that... And then when you start to behave like that, there's a little bit inside you that goes, well done. Now you're this today. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it not?
Yeah.
It is. Now you want to behave like a carer. Okay, then let's behave like a carer today. And then get a certificate for that one. And then maybe you want to behave like a doctor. Here, you write a theory and think about stuff. And once you thunk about it long enough, now well done, you're now a doctor.
Yeah.
Do you want to think about being a programmer? Why, yes, I do. Now let's start programming some stuff. Well done, you. You're now a programmer. So, yeah, I'm not sure what I identify with. It depends on the day, depends on what I need, and depends on what I want to explore. And then maybe I'll fill my head with this sort of stuff. And tomorrow I might want to be a psychologist, or the next day I might want to be, then you just got to fill your head with psychology, and we all actually have this anyway. Yeah, just got to empty your mind, and then you can be anything you want to be. Isn't that beautiful? Literally anything.
Yeah. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Well, that's the top end of it. But what about tomorrow? Okay, Now I want to think like I'm working in a factory. Okay, then so be it. Tomorrow you'll be a factory worker, but there's no certificate, just a wage. I don't know, just sort of stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm not sure. And then if it fascinates you, and then behavior, isn't it just behavior? How you behave.
Yeah.
Behave in a funny manner, and well done you, you're a comedian.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the next species of human become adapters?
Yeah.
Well, you would need it if you were traveling in new worlds. You'd have to adapt to certain things and behave like certain things, and do you have to? Is the mind not ready for, I don't know, multiple behaviors? Which then, what is that? I don't know what that would be. Is that like split personality? No, because you're empty in your mind of stuff. You forget to know, to then forget, to then know, and then you're sort of, if you want to bounce back into being an electrician again, then you remember what you forgot last time and updated with a few more things. Sparky, Sparky, whoops, you were not behaving like an electrician today. Pyromaniac, but not an electrician. Ooh, I like that. I don't know if that's how it is. So, yeah, that's, I don't know. There you are. And then, wouldn't that be something to teach kids? How to be this, change your behavior like really quickly. But we don't have to give it a bad rap, don't we, for being, and it is possible, right? Because this is looked at as what in the mental health spectrum, as splitting in something, right? Well, you'd have a field day with this one then, because it's like, so you can really be anything you want to be, and then is that believing in yourself in a way?
Yeah, I would think so.
It's hard to identify with just one thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I find that very difficult.
Yeah.
Personally, I find that really difficult. But I really am changing and chopping and changing, and I kind of like it. I've just grown up to be that way. Oh, maybe it's just a belief system, but it isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't everything we do a belief system?
Yeah.
So what happens if you have multiple belief systems then? In that way, is that good or is that bad? I'm not sure if it's good.
It really depends on.
And then can you make more? I don't know. I just cannot focus just on one subject. It's like maybe for a day or half a day or an hour, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you not get like that? Do you not get those urges? I mean, you've seen it, so do you not find that hard to do, or do you find that easy to do, or do you find it easy to just identify with one thing and just do that every day? Yeah, I don't know about that. Not for me, but for you, how would you find?
Just with one thing.
You are gonna be a carer for the rest of your life.
No, I wouldn't want that.
What about a mechanic?
No, I wouldn't want that.
What about a doctor?
I always changed it.
What about a judge, solicitor, cop?
I don't know.
Paramedic?
Some people work in one place for 60 years or whatever.
No,
I
no,
wouldn't.
No.
No.
No, thank you. Oh, no. Oof. I don't know about that. Just the thought of that makes me just, I don't know. Oof. Are we, oof. An adapter.
Adapting, changing.
Never mind multiverse. What about multi-humans? That sounds good, right? Unified multi-beings. Oh yeah, I like that. Oh, that's got a good ring to it, doesn't it? Yeah? Earthlings or multi-beings? Multi-dimensional beings. Ooh, no?
How do you get to different dimensions?
No. You are the different dimension.
I'm not sure I follow
Thinking
that.
in different dimensions in order to achieve something in a different... Multi-mindset is a lot of a mouthful, really, isn't it?
Mm.
Multi-mindset beings. And it doesn't ring,
No,
does it? It's not really a ringer.
no, it's not.
But multi-dimensional beings.
That's different.
Multi-mindset beings. No, it's not got the ring. I just need the ring and
Mhm.
miss it when it stops. No? I don't know if that's any good or not, really, but there you are. I know what else was rattling around in the head. Something about fertilizer. Not fertilizer, but kinda. No, it's not fertilizer. No, what is it you spray on crops to get rid of pests? What is that called?
Oh.
Insecticide.
Yeah, I would think that's better name for it. Yeah. But fertilizer is
Or something that goes on
helping
to.
as well. Yeah, yeah.
So what about finding things that they just don't like? So right, rosemary, yeah?
Mhm.
Why is that like the plant that just seems to not get anything?
Mhm.
Well, it probably does, but it
Very,
seems
very
like it
little.
doesn't get
Yeah,
infested with
yeah,
anything.
yeah. Very little.
So what happens if you get a concoction of rosemary versus pine needle versus this, and this, and it was sprayed across the crop? Because do you know, we were talking the other day about something, weren't we? Well, I don't know what it was. You said that ancients didn't drink tea.
They didn't know it, did they? Maybe they
They
drank something
did.
else,
They did have tea. Do you know what it was? Pine needles.
but it was not called tea, probably. Maybe that was the funny point I made. They had something, didn't they?
Well, they would have to have had vitamin C in a world where there was no vitamin C because there wasn't oranges growing.
Hmm.
I think it was pine needle.
Hmm.
And they would have boiled that, so they were boiling water.
Yeah,
They are heating it.
yeah.
And you ask how.
Yeah, then
Yeah, see, that's interesting as well, isn't it? How could they have been heating water?
Mm.
I'll leave that one for pondering. I think I kind of covered this one before. I don't know if I want to go over it in a video, to be honest, because I want to leave that one for the air of mystery. I wonder if you can figure it. It's a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure it is.
Mm.
Sure is. But heating up that pine needles, because you know there wasn't oranges and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
because they came later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice, nice.
Mm.
Vitamin C in that, a lot of vitamins in that. So I believe it's vitamin C. Lots of other stuff too. Sure, don't overdo it, but you know that's probably where that.
Mm.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think that is all I want to do and say for now on those subjects. I think. If I think of some more, I'll let you know. Um, Yep. So volts, amps, and watts. These are pretty good with solar panels, and then interlocking with one another. Yeah, that's it. Because the cloud mass,
Mm-hmm.
so that the cloud is blocking here.
Yeah.
But if it's patchy day, not like today, there's lots of holes in it. But when the cloud moves, if it's all shared
Yeah.
on a grid type thing like that, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it'd be expensive to get it going, but still, it would be like a hybrid grid,
Yeah.
sort of.
Mm-hmm.
That would be pretty awesome. And then factored in with a few Jenny engines in the
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah.
Yes, ones that sort of come on to sort of boost the areas here, there, and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, certain villages or areas could create this off of steam as well at
Yeah.
certain times of the year.
Yeah.
I know burning gets such a bad rap sometimes, but I don't know. Certain times of the year, I think it's necessary, and other times it's just not, to sort of feed them when the leaves are out.
Yeah.
You know, because as in times back,
Mm-hmm.
we were running through the woods, burning fires in the forests
Yeah.
all year round. And at certain times, this would have fed into it. Well, when you got more pine, it's a little different, but when it started to change, the dynamics began to change. And in the summer, you would boost into and feed into for the exchange of. And this would then promote more and more and more and more. Interesting. And then if you've noticed the way the smoke drifts sideways through the woods.
Yeah.
And if you notice how smoke always seems to want to point towards the woods.
Mm-hmm.
It always blows towards the woods.
Yeah.
Inward. That's very interesting to me, that. So at certain times of the year, burning in the winter when there's none of that greenery around, I shouldn't say none, I should say less of the greenery around.
Mm-hmm.
Which gets me wondering another thing as well, like where we all cut hedges and make them all nice and neat and straight. I mean, if you're taking down that much, how much oxygenation are you losing?
Yeah. A lot.
To make it shorter?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be more environmentally friendly to just let that grow, all of it grow? Sure, it might not look too tidy, but the birds will love you for it because it gets a nest in it and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting, but still, I wonder that. We cut a lot of stuff down, don't we? Hedges
Yes, we
and
do.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it was X amount, it was this big, and then we cut it down to this big, it's not going to be promoting as much oxygen, is it?
Yeah. No,
Or it's not going to be converting
Mm.
carbon to oxygen or either or whatever it is, the processes that go in, the roots or whatnot. Woo hee. There we are, lacking of oxygen, that is what that is, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
A nice hurt frequency in there as well when you yawn. Do you ever hear that?
Yeah.
And do you know that's an actual audible sound, that is? Well, you know that, don't you? If you push your ear up against someone and yawn, and you push the ears together, or someone else's, yes? Well, you can't do it to yourself. I've tried. It just makes me look like an elf. But if you put an ear against somebody else's ear and you yawn, they will hear your frequency. Isn't that weird? You'll hear a slight.
It is.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, in order to alert you, make you a bit more alert, you hear an audio, a hertz frequency that's audible. And isn't that very strange that you can make a sound and hear the sound that you are making? Do you think that is extremely fascinating?
Yeah, that is.
And then it makes me wonder, are you making the sound, and is this where the whole saying comes from, if the tree falls and no one's there to hear it? What, because you could be making that sound perhaps and hearing the sound that... Isn't that interesting? I don't think so, because then that would work with sight as well, wouldn't it? If you weren't there to see it, you never guess who I saw today. I don't know, everyone you looked at.
Yeah.
You never guess what I heard. Everything you listened to. Just want to shut that conversation down. I like that. Catches people off guard. You can make people really laugh, but it takes a few seconds for the penny to drop, by the way. What? Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, yeah, but there is an actual sound being generated. A sound that you're making, but you can also hear the sound that you make. So when you yawn, shot of oxygen that is then held for a little while, and it's making that followed on with a sort of hold the breath, a couple of seconds, and then... And isn't it great that when you yawn and make the sound, someone else yawns? Do you remember? I was doing it to Mus, which is a cat. I just kept fake yawning near him. And he kept yawning as well. Now you're yawning.
You talk about it, and that's enough.
It's worse than flu, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like catchable, right?
It is.
Yeah, and I was doing it to me pet cat. And after, I don't know, probably the 10th one, and it was coming back at me as well, so he just... he got quite frustrated with me.
Not happy with it.
Well, he knew, but it was sort of more... I took that as him sort of like saying, oh my God, will you stop it, sort of thing. He was just triggering it back and forth. which is really interesting. So you can sort of jump the species with it. Just never seen a bird yawn. Interesting. Interesting.
Mm.
Now, is that because their breathing is different?
Could be that, yeah.
Doesn't they have a different dynamic of lungs, don't they? And
Yeah.
the way they breathe is different.
Yeah, yeah. They breathe in and out at the same time, don't they?
Some humans can do that, I believe.
Hmm.
Isn't it called continuous breathing? People play a didgeridoo.
Probably, yeah.
That's
yeah,
a good talent, that. And I think you can teach yourself that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, evolution for humans. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
What, somewhere in the future? Extra digits.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. If you go into space, may you lose the feet and gain an extra hand. Now, wouldn't that be handy? What would we look like? We'd look like weird sort of spiders.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure the feet would evolve into hands.
Mm.
Don't you think? We'd look like blobs with arms. I'm sure of it, actually. I think long-term space travel and there'll be quite a few changes come from that. And then that begs the question, right? Then if you were traveling long distance like that and over evolution and time,
Yeah.
depending how slow you went, and those changes, also gravity would feel like an uphill struggle, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And unless something was done about maintaining, or maybe nothing happens and you just have, no, it wouldn't, something would definitely happen. It would trigger something to happen. Yeah, that would be interesting. What would you do with all those hands? That's interesting. Sort of. And then how does that define the brain?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the brain would have to, it would be hand-eye coordination. That would be a lot of hand-eye coordination. Walking would become something that would be not needed in the mindset. And a new sort of being able to divide the mind further, split it up. One hand can do this, whilst this hand would do this, and these hands would do this, and that hand over there would do this. So you'd be able to do an awful lot. Could you imagine that? Being able to type something on a computer whilst flying a ship or something like that. And have one free to just sort of, doing all of it. So the mind would really divide in that, wouldn't it? It would evolve as well to become different, don't you think? To be more capable of thought.
Yeah.
And therefore it would have to dedicate. So the attention would have to divide as well to be able to be, wow, wouldn't that be something? Do you think so? There's it's not just as simple as just change something and then that's it. Well, we've got an extra hand. What do I do with all of this awareness? One hand at a time, apparently. So I think that would begin to divide further. So the brain wouldn't be in two, well, three, maybe even more than that. It would probably be divided into something like 6, maybe. And then would you need extra eyes?
Extra eyes for what?
Sneezing.
Bless you. For sneezing?
It's because there's so much light behind you. It sometimes makes me sneeze. And no. Would you? Yeah, we'd need extra eyes. Would you not?
I don't know.
You look like a human-y spider.
Ooh.
Well, it wouldn't be because this would be attractive to other humans, right? Because reproduction and stuff would be very important. Now that would be interesting in itself. You'd just sort of move around like spiders if you ever went back down to land mass. Eyes all sort of everywhere. But then where would the eyes be positioned? Because would they be more on the end of the hands? Near the hands?
Maybe they could be. Yeah.
Wouldn't that make more sense to be able to divide more spider-licious? In a weird-licious sort of sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're just thinking about that, how the evolutional changes would happen in that. The mind would change if the body changes, and then therefore there would need to be more brain function.
Yeah.
Because attention is something that we put a lot of attention in our hands. And sometimes it's autonomous what we're doing, and sort of open a fridge and stir a drink or...
Yeah.
Yeah, so then if you had extra hands, there'd need to be a sort of more... It couldn't all be done on just the two if we're using eyes to look whilst we... and stare at the blackboard and write at the same time, and if you're any good at that. Now try it with both your hands. Now try it with all four of your hands. Four? Wait a second. But yeah.
Don't have that many at the moment.
Yeah, but the legs aren't needed in space.
Yeah.
It's usually in the arms and the hands. And the moving and pulling. And then would that enhance the sort of peripheral?
Probably, yeah.
And then if you worked with this, could you not then multiply use multiple mobile phones? Well, this is good for corporations then. That's a mobile phone per hand.
Yeah.
Why is this not in the periodic table inside school books, you know, like the food chart? You need this food, that food, this food, yeah?
Yeah. You need more of that and
now
most
more
of this.
Span for a mobile phone in this hand and a mobile phone in this hand, and you need one for your foot or hand and other hand. And after a few years, if you don't get a new one, you know you can't update it, and we can't put the updates on there for you, and it's worth a pin. Anyway, we'll leave this one here because the phone is wandering. I don't know why it keeps moving like that. But yeah, so yeah, no, I'm just kidding. And yeah, I was gonna leave it here.
Okay.
I think it's got weird enough.
Weird
That's
enough.
even alright.